What's up, YouTube Audio Land? We're live here, 12 Volt Talk, episode 25. How's everybody doing tonight?
Yo, yo, yo.
High Five Vega in the house. We are just going to test our audio real quick. Make sure you guys can hear us okay. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mic check. Dropping a sick beat. All
All right. We've got Beatbox Master Vega. All right. Looks like we're good to go. So we can just jump right in because you guys know what the deal is. You know that we don't pay you no mind for about an hour while we're doing this, and then we give you some mind. But y'all let us know what you think about collecting car audio as we're talking about it, because I'm sure we're going to have some alternating opinions.
Alternate facts.
That's right, and a lot of alternate fiction. Let me turn this down because I can hear
Yeah.
myself. Um, your turn. Would you like to kick it, Mr. Vega?
Yeah. I'll do the intro here.
All right, this is episode 25. You got the document?
I'm ready. Oh, you know what? Let me
Uh-uh.
start my recording.
Yes, start your recording because I've already started mine 15 minutes ago. Recorded all the blah 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 we've been talking about.
Yeah, we good now. All right.
All right, we're good now. All right, I'm gonna mute.
All right. Five, four, three, two. Welcome to 12 Volt Talk, episode 25. It's your boy High Five Vega here. You can find me at youtube.com/High Five Vega. And I'm joined, as always, by my good buddy Derek, aka Mr. Wilson, the artist formerly known as Big D Wiz. What's up, Big D?
Big D Wiz fell off the tower. He's no longer here with us, but Derek is, and I'm here. And the title of today's episode is Collecting Car Audio. Is it a sickness? I think we have a lot of opinions about sicknesses and hoarding and things like that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, they make TV shows on it.
There you go. See, that's our retirement job. We can drive around and we can find people that have hordes of car audio and we can help them get rid of it and sell it. And
Or just hoard it ourselves,
yeah, see, then that wouldn't
probably.
work, right? Because it would just be transferring the horde.
But they wouldn't see it on our end, though. They just only see us cleaning their space
That's
up.
right. We would be out there helping these people, getting
The
rid of their.
magic of editing.
Think we should do that. So, as we mentioned, we're going to talk about collecting car audio gear. Is it a sickness? And wow, I think Rob and I both have some pretty strong convictions here about this because we both have been dealing with the madness, sickness. What would you call it?
Well, we were down with the sickness, I'd say, at some point. Especially, I know I was, and I've seen your place, so I'm not going to make any judgments. But
Well, I think we'll get to it, but we have a few things we're gonna cover here, and we'll talk about it. And you guys who are in the chat room at youtube.com/12v talk, let us know what you think. If you're listening to us on podcasting app, make sure you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We're getting close to 1,000. We're getting ready to blow some decorations and excitement up in the air, and we hit 1,000. That's a big number, man. We just started this thing a few months ago. We've been rolling.
oh yeah, got it rolling. So tell me, what are the best parts of collecting car audio? Let's start with the good first.
Yeah, there's definitely some good to collecting car audio. So some people like the hunt is what we'll call it, the hunt, and that's the searching Craigslist, searching things outside of the norm, like going to yard sales, going to thrift stores, stuff like that. Some people just are into the excitement of finding something. I think that's really cool, but for me personally, I can't devote that much dedication or time because I don't find other things that I could sell, and I just couldn't make it worth my time. Do you ever do any of that, Rob? Do you ever go to, thrift stores or yard sales or estate sales, anything like that, looking for car audio stuff?
No, but I wish I could because it sounds like so much fun, you know. But like you, I mean, time is more valuable at this point than money to me. And just the time crunch that we have doing videos, doing podcasts, doing kids sports, all kinds of activities. It kind of eats up in that time. But I'd love to just take a weekend hitting every pawn shop, every thrift store, garage sale I could. Man, it really sounds like fun. I just haven't had the opportunity to do it in many years.
Yeah, so we kind of agree on that, the same thing. The other part about it is some people really enjoy just finding the gear. Other people enjoy the stuff itself. Um, you know, I think that's something that goes without saying that if you like car audio gear, you love to find the cool things. And you know, I see a lot of people, and I kind of live through some of these people online that post, see all the cool stuff they find, at yard sales or Craigslist ads or what's the other one? Offer Up. Some of those
Yeah,
other local or Facebook groups. Sometimes they can find something locally, and I just like to see what other people find. I used to be kind of jealous, said, man, I can't believe that guy found that stuff. But now it's just kind of like, oh, that's great. Glad he found that. That's cool. Good for him.
yeah. And there's always a story that goes along with those pieces. I think you've told a story on here before about picking up from a guy in his old Trans Am and the system he had, and everyone's got a story, and that's what's great about Facebook and stuff like that. A lot of times I'll give you the story and how they found it or why they always wanted this piece or looking at it in magazines, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, some of the some of the people I consider pretty close friends today, I met either purchasing equipment online or in person. There's people here that live around me that I still keep up with, and they may some of them may be in the chat room right now. But a lot of times when people have stuff for sale and you go talk to them, you start talking about, like you said, the story and where it came from, and they're not just people that buy stuff and sell it. They're people who've had it for years and just really want to, like you said, tell the story, and then it brings back memories. And then in some cases, you go to buy a 12-inch subwoofer, and they say, "Oh, you're into car audio? I've got this whole storage unit out here of amplifiers and this and that. I just didn't think it was worth anything." Have you
Yeah.
ever run into any of those, Rob, and had a really like big score and whatnot? They're just smiling.
No, I've never been that lucky, but what I have ran into people that are into car audio in general, and a lot of those people, I still get texts from them, like, "Hey, I got this and got that," or asking me if I've located something they want. So just like me at that point, they were collectors, and they wanted to enjoy the equipment, and a lot of times, people they just want to get the equipment out there. Some people aren't even trying to really make a profit off it. They're just passing it along for the next guy to do. That's pretty admirable.
And that's kind of the way Jay Leno describes car collecting. He says you're holding on to it for a time until the next person takes it. So you're like the caretaker. So we have to think of ourselves as being the caretaker of car audio equipment. You have to take care of it
Yeah,
so it stays around for a long time for people to see those 1990 kicker solo barracks, right?
right. Speaking of solo barracks, what is one piece of equipment that you wouldn't give up, if anything? One piece or multiple pieces? What's something that you wouldn't give up? You wouldn't even consider giving up?
I'm going to revert that question back to you because I have a few things that I'm going to show. And for those who are watching live, I'm going to share my screen and show some pictures. But I'll let you go first. Do you have
All right.
any one piece or other pieces that you wouldn't let go of?
So about 3 years ago, me would say that it would be my lunar amps and my Orion 225s, my large collection of cheater amps that I had. But today, me, I got into a point where I decided I couldn't keep something that I didn't actually plan to use, like legitimately plan to use, and not just, oh, well, maybe I'll buy 10 cars and I can put something in each. So for me, mainly for space reasons, and basically all my audio is confined to one room at the time. So once it starts spilling out of there, the wife, she didn't get too happy about that. So I just decided to pare it down and keep what I was going to use, whether it be in a car or for a video.
Yeah, so the video part is, yeah, that one can be kind of iffy because if you're not careful, everything can be an excuse to make a video of. At least that's
Yeah.
what I've done.
Oh, it's a trap. I mean, you're seeing, you're like, hey, this would be a great video. No one's tested this. No one's reviewed this.
And nobody
Yeah.
has seen that in 4K goodness in their brand new TV they just bought for the Super Bowl. They can watch it on YouTube and see Williston Audio or Hi-Fi Vega show it off in full 4K goodness. So there's got to be something to said about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
I'm gonna.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think it does. I'm gonna show a couple of the things here, and you guys, most of you who watch my channel have seen a lot of the stuff I'm gonna show, obviously, but I'm just gonna go through it kind of quick. The first Sony CD player I ever bought, the CDX 7520, was at the time, I think it was a $500 CD player new, and I had a local dealer. My brother used to work for him, and he gave me a deal. I think I bought it for either 350 or $400, something like that. He knocked off pretty good off of retail, but I had that head unit for about a year, and then it just crapped out. But just about, I guess, 18 months ago or something, somebody who was a subscriber to me saw one of these on eBay and sent me a link and said, "Hey, it's like $40." I said, "Man, I got to get one of those just for nostalgia." So I did. I actually did a video on it, and I have the EQ that goes along with it. I think the EQ is a couple years newer because the 7520 came out in 1990, I believe, and it was a fixed mount tuner only. It did not have any power to it, just a CD tuner is what they used to call it. And that thing would skip like a little girl playing hopscotch. Every time you sneezed, it would skip.
So it didn't have the patented 30-second time delay.
No, it had
Skip protection, it was called, I guess.
it had 8 times oversampling, but it was just oversampling all them skips, I think. But it's cool. It's got the two different colors, the amber and the green. I hated, and I still hate to this day, the touch volume. I want to have a knob for my volume, but back then, and Rob knows this, CD players were not easy to come by. They were not easy to find. They were very expensive. Certain models were. So, I saved up money for a long time to get this. So that's what I got. And like I said, since I just found it, I decided that I was going to hold on to it just for nostalgic purposes. But one of the other things I want to show you is, and I talked about this story just a little bit in the past, and Rob kind of hinted on it a little bit when he was talking about the story of me going to pick up car audio with this beat up, Trans Am with the gold plated amps and the really nice interior. This is actually the head unit that I got from that guy, and that was back in 1991. And it's the same head unit. It still works. It's the Alpine 7903. It is a pull-out. It is also not powered. It has dual RCAs front and rear. If you look real close, those of you who are watching the stream, you can see the forward and back tracks here just to the left of the display screen. Those are, the button there is starting to get a little sticky. But otherwise, I mean, the thing is still pretty good shape overall. The chiclets are all good. It doesn't have all the silk screening wiped off of it. And the last time I powered up, it still works. So it's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Those Alpine units are tanks, man. CD transport is the only problem, really.
Yes, that's correct, Rob, and that's a known problem. And there's actually some technicians out there that can replace them. I think they find spares and they can still replace them. But this other picture I'm showing here, there's an older model 7903 on the bottom, and the difference you can see is the buttons on the far right. Notice the one above it has the convex or concave, let's see, which is the one that points out. That's concave, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Has those buttons. This is the S model, 7903S. The one below it is the original 7903. And if you notice, the track forward and track reverse on the older model is actually in better shape. So I think the one at the bottom is actually the one that wasn't used in a daily driver. The Alpine 7903 that I had, I used it literally in 3 different cars over about a 10-year span. So that thing is just absolute rock solid. And the thing I really like is the old commercial, the ad that they used to have in the magazines. It says, "Okay, the Alpine 7903 CD player does skip on occasion," and it shows a tree crushing into a car. And it was pretty much true, man. I remember we used to try to go over the railroad tracks really fast to get that thing to skip, and it just would not. So that I know those are 2 different head units we're talking about. I didn't even get to the amps, but those are 2 that I want to stick around with because they're just nostalgic, and I think they're both pretty good quality.
Yeah, I never had the opportunity to run one of those Alpine, but I always did hear about the non-skip qualities of them versus, I was always a Sony or a Clarion guy, and I'm gonna tell you those things skip, man. They skip like crazy.
Skip like mad. So I'm going to switch back real quick while we're still talking about this, since I've got pretty pictures to share for people who are watching online. And those who know me know that one of the first amps that I bought, saving up money, mowing grasses, and doing whatever I could do over the summer, the Punch 45 HD. This is the original one that I bought way back in the day. I still have the box for it. I do not have the manual or the burst sheet. Actually traded it to some guy for a time period, and then when I got it back from those other items had been lost, so that was a little bit of a bummer. But it
Party
is,
foul on him.
yeah, it was my original amp. Some of the chrome plated shrouds I really like, the Power 1000, 650, and 300. Um, and I've talked about this before as well, but the Fosgate Power Punch PR 7000s up here on the top, and this is the first car amplifier that Fosgate made back in the mid 70s. I think it was released in 1973 at CES, but I don't know exactly what year they were for sale. I haven't been able to get that data yet. But below it are 2 different units that are based on the Punch EQ circuit. And we'll link a video because I don't want to talk too long about it, but I've got a video where I talk about these units and the Punch EQ circuit and the reason Fosgate designed this way back in the 70s. And if you guys want to geek out on things like that, you can check that video out. It doesn't have a lot of love because people aren't as geeky as me with the old school audio equipment, but that's just me. So the Power 1000, obviously, Chrome one, Power 1000C. There's a Power 650 with the 4-inch fan. Those are pretty cool. And then, of course, the JBL A6000. You can't not love the A6000.
Yeah, that thing is huge, man. I'd never seen one, outside of a vehicle until I went up there and seen it at your house, and that thing is crazy big in person.
It's really hard. Yeah, it's one of the things that, like if you haven't seen a Lamborghini in person, it's not it's not the same as seeing a video or a picture of it. It's the same thing with that amp. You can't understand how big it is unless you actually see it in person. But I went on kind of a long time, Rob. What else?
All right,
What
so
else did you have? Did you have any other things?
no, that's about all I had. But something caught my eye in your pictures, and it was that Chrome 1000C. So I know that there's a good story that goes with this because our good buddy JDR, some of you may know, he went and acquired that for Derek, and there's a very good story that comes along with that, and we should have had him on tonight to tell it.
Yeah, we should have because it's hearsay. I'm telling you the secondhand version of the story. But basically, I had I believe maybe a month before or so, I had come across an Orion Concept 97.3, and that's the big one like the Beast that's polished and was supposedly the limited edition. They only made 50 or 150 or 250. We still don't know what the number is on them. But anyway, JDR really wanted that amp, and he came across, I think locally, a Power 1000C, and it was the Terminator edition. And he told me, he's like, "Hey, you want to trade?" I was like, "Yeah." And so he contacted the guy, and I don't remember. It's been 6 or 7 years ago. I don't remember all the details of him and I talking with the guy, but I do remember talking the guy down to $600 from maybe 850 or something. And I told him, I said, my buddy, I said, he always got 600 because that's kind of what we agreed on the swap price of the two. But before we get to the agreement of the price, uh, Jason had to go meet the guy, and the guy pulls up in a hoopty. I don't know what like a late 80s Buick or something with a huge trunk. And the guy pops the trunk, and he's got like a spare tire, he's got trash, he's got a tire iron, he's got all this stuff that's just laying in there with that beautiful chrome Power 1000 under it. So he goes to dig it out, moving all the stuff out of the way and digs it out. And Jason, when he calls me, he's like, "We can't let this guy take this amp back." He said, "You've got to buy it, or I've got to buy it, or something." So it was one of those things where obviously the guy didn't really know what he had,
Yeah.
but it's kind of good that we were able to get it. And it did have an issue with one of the channels, and of course, where Jason took it to get it checked out, they checked all the channels except for one, and there was a problem with it. But I was able to get it fixed. But yeah, hearing the story, and
Yeah.
you're right, we do need to get the first-hand version from him, and we'll tell that one or have him tell it one day because I'm
Yeah.
sure there was a lot more to it than what I just told you. But
Well,
that part was
yeah,
good.
it was in a bit of a sketchy neighborhood as well. So, you know, I keep all that in mind. The big trunk, he's digging through the tire iron, see all the chrome. So yeah, he was ready to get that amp, just get out of there.
Yeah, I'm glad he did. It's funny because I've talked with him about it, years later, and he's like, "Man, you got the better end of that deal." Of course, the Orion at the time, the Concept 97 threes, we haven't seen that many of them, so we didn't know. We thought they were really, really, really rare, and then over the last 5, 6 years, we've seen so many of those things pop up. It's like, man, those numbers they came up with, like 150. I think there was a lot more than 150 of those made.
Yeah,
So
for
the rare
sure.
factor of those, I don't think, is quite as high as we originally thought when we first started finding them.
Well, especially we've heard of people getting 20 or so of them, so that kind of puts a damper on the whole 150.
Yeah, I mean, and we got the facts of the 150 from a magazine because it was in an Auto Sound and Security magazine that actually posted an article about it because they were talking about the end of cheater amps, and the 97.3 was the one that came out this 1 watt by 2 or half a watt by 2, whatever the
Yeah,
rating was. It was like crazy low, and the whole thing was because they were tired of other companies cheating
yeah,
the rating system. But yeah, I think the numbers, obviously, not only did they lie about the power output, they also lied about how many they made.
yeah.
They made a
They're
bunch.
pretty much lied about everything. Lied about everything. So speaking of the stories, you know, I've got a story to tell about how I acquired a piece that I always wanted. Now this piece not might not be something that everybody wants, but to me, the big red Sony 7557, the big 5 channel, from the moment I seen that, it's explode amp, so some people don't like it, some people do. I do. I always wanted one, and I could never afford them because I believe the MSRP was around $800, somewhere in that range. And from the moment I seen it, I wanted that amp. Now mind you, I've been collecting because I've always been into cheater amps, but this amp was just kind of off to the side for me. So I'm collecting these cheater amps, collecting them, and I still never pick up that amp. Well, I go up to the spring OSS meet. Who? What do you know? Our buddy Sean K's got one sitting right on that table, and I'm walk by it 3 or 4 times, like, oh man, I don't know. Like, I want this. I don't know if I'll use it though. And like I mentioned before, I'm trying to keep down to what I'm using. So at the end of the day, I was like, man, I gotta have it. So I worked out a deal with Sean, took it home, So, and I do plan on using it in the Suburban soon. Uh, you got any stories about something you acquired like that?
Yeah, so the other thing about that Sony is it mint, I mean, like
Oh
extremely
yeah,
good condition, and Sean, was not asking a ton of money for it either. So it was a very good deal right off the bat. So I'm glad you got that. I didn't realize that was one of your dream amps because those are great amps. They really
yeah.
are. Sony's
And
those
they
Sonys
don't
don't get enough love, but they really
they
should.
don't get into love, and they're really not worth much, if you see them. So if you guys want a killer 5 channel amp, you can snap these things up for like $300 all day. So hey, check it out.
Yeah,
It's
and
huge though. It's very big. It's not as big as the JBL, but it's big.
it is pretty big. But yeah, well, I mean, the hardest thing at this point in time though is finding one that's in halfway decent shape.
Yeah,
People usually they put them in trunks with tire irons and stuff, and
sell
they
them
don't.
on sketchy sides of town.
That's right. They don't look like that one that you got.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I've got some other stories, but we've got a lot of other stuff that we want to cover too. So I wanted to move on to
All
something I
right.
think's pretty important about the whole collecting thing, and something a lot of people don't think about unless the ones who have actually started collecting is, keeping these pieces alive and functioning or restoring them. So, with the head units and stuff, it can be really difficult because a lot of the parts aren't available anymore. The transports aren't available, things like that. But with amplifiers, like the Rockfords I showed earlier with the chrome shrouds, Mike Schultz up in Rhode Island has worked with a local place where he can get them, you know, re-chromed. He can also get them covered with the not the paint, but what do you call it? The
Oh, the
powder coat.
yeah,
He's got
powder
the
coat.
powder coat down that matches pretty close to the original wrinkle finish, is what they call it. And then he's got a silk screen shop or a shop that does the silk screen. He's got all the designs. He spent thousands of dollars having this stuff remade. But yeah, he does runs where you can send them up to him and he'll do them. But I mean, it's still, if you want to get a Power 1000 shroud re-chromed, I think just the chroming alone is like $250.
Yeah, chroming is expensive.
So it's not cheap, but you've got something, that you're not going to see at the Cars and Coffee on Saturday morning. You're going to be the only person with it probably.
Yeah.
So you just have to realize though, if you're going to get into this stuff and you want to have the cool things and you want to get it restored, you have to send it to Sean K or send it to
Yeah.
Jay or send it to somebody to get the internals, the caps redone, change out all the transistors, stuff like that. It's gonna
Yeah.
cost some money.
And Sean, he's restored some really rare, nice pieces, pieces you don't see every day. And it seems like he brings one to every spring meet. So he's done one for I know for Brad for sure. He's done one for Russell. He's done quite a few of them actually.
Yeah, and that Colossus 6 that he did for me was,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that
impeccable.
one.
I haven't shown that one on YouTube, but yeah, it's something I need to pull out and show because it is a work of art. I know he spent a lot of time and effort into getting that one going. So that's something you have to consider. If you're
Yeah,
going to collect it to use, then it's going to take some work in most cases to get it going right.
yeah. And if you're collecting and getting restored, don't expect to be able to sell it for what you got in it. A prime example, I had a earthquake U40 UHC, and it's one that you tested. Matter of fact, well, after that, it ended up having some issues. Sent it to Sean, and he spent I don't know how much time he pretty much went through that whole amp, and it was tough. I mean, he spent a lot of time just trying to find the parts to make it work. So when that amp was all said and done, I had way more in it than it was worth. But hey, it's still alive and it's kicking out there somewhere. I don't have it anymore, but
Yeah, it you have to be prepared to put the money in. And it's just like when you're buying an old car, especially the ones you want to keep that you're not going to flip. you really have to put your money into it and don't expect to get it back out because it's really something that you enjoy if you want to do it that way. But I think one of the other cool things about collecting the old car audio stuff is finding something you could never afford as a teen. And when I showed earlier that Power 1000C, the one that I told the story about it being in the trunk, those were $2,600 back in the early 90s. I mean, the equivalent price now is probably $5,500. Who's got $5,500 to spend on an amplifier?
Yeah. And they had that amp up at my local Rockford shop, but it was already old at that point, and the new nice chrome thing that was out was the 1000.2. And again, I believe it was like 2000 or 2200, somewhere around there. So yeah, different eras but same prices basically.
Yeah, so the cool thing about it is, if there was a time, which I don't know if now is that time because prices on the Power 1000, especially the Terminator ones, $1,500 if it's in good shape. I've seen them go for that much and more, but when I told everybody the price when I got this one was 600, but I did have to send it and get some work done on the amp, and I haven't had the shroud re-chromed or re-silk screened because it does have a little bit of wear on the silk screen. So you could easily have that kind of money into it, but still, it's much less than what it was when it came out. But you know, we talked about earlier, how much do you want to invest in things like this? Well, if it's something cool that you want to hang on to, maybe you'll almost get your money back one day.
Yeah, maybe, but don't count on it.
No,
It's a bad investment.
it
Let's say
is.
that.
Yeah, unless you're just buying the stuff, to keep for a little bit and get rid of it, and then you can make a little bit of money. Sometimes that's cool,
Yeah.
but it's never been a money making thing for me. Although it may be a retirement plan for me.
Well, unless the market falls out of it, you never know.
No,
Then we just got to
we have
keep
to
it.
keep lifting it up, make people want to buy it.
Well, that's why you're collect. See, when you're a collector, it doesn't matter what the market is.
That's true, unless you need
Yeah.
to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why I said it's a bad investment. Don't buy it. Buy it as a collection, not an investment.
Buy low, sell high. That's my theory. Doesn't work that well.
So, speaking of it, basically, a lot of times why we like this old stuff is just because to us it's cool. That Power 1000, the most powerful amp in the world when it come out, 4 channels. The big Sony, people really dislike Sony Explode. Well, I got this big red, and when it goes in there, I'm like, hey, listen to my stereo, and then this is what I got in there. It's an Explode.
Yeah, the nostalgia part of it is big.
Yeah,
It's no different than video games now, old computers. There's a lot of this stuff that came out in the 80s and 90s that people that couldn't afford certain things back then, make pretty good salaries now and they can afford stuff. So they're trying to relive their childhood. I know nothing about that. But yeah, I do it
yeah,
too. We all do it.
yeah. Nostalgia's a killer, man. It,
Well, I mean, if it's something that you remember from back in the day that made you happy and you just wish, Rob and I've talked about this before, but having the magazines, having those directories and going flipping through them and like circling the stuff that we wanted and building our dream system that we know we couldn't afford. But that was part of the fun, to me was creating not a spreadsheet back then, but I'd get out my notebook and I would write out a system and I'd draw it out and I would add up all the prices and when I got done I'd just be like, this is never happening. But it was still fun, the dreaming part, kind of like when you and your buddies talk about what would I do if I won the lottery.
yeah,
It gives you that buzz just for a few minutes of thinking, wow, let's see, what would I do? Oh, I'd buy a big piece of property. I'd live in the middle. I'd have everybody come visit me and have parties all the time. It's a buzz, and that's kind of what
yeah.
nostalgia is for a lot of people. I know it
Or
is
if
for
you're
me.
when you're a kid and you get the Toys R Us book for Christmas, I want this, I want the it. That's what it is, and
That is a
that's part of the hunt, really, too. It's all in one.
yeah, that's a great way to put it. The toys. I mean, that's essentially what it is for us. It is toys.
Yeah,
But we've talked a lot about the positive side of
yeah,
collecting car audio, but I made a I wish I would have found my post that I did a few years ago about the dark side of collecting car audio. We're going to talk about that a little bit now.
yeah. I mean, what better to kick us into that than nostalgia? Because nostalgia is a two-edged sword when it comes to this kind of stuff. Nostalgia can give you the good feelings. It can also get you to where you're buying way too much stuff. You're spending money you don't have. Uh, it can. It's a two-sided coin.
It is for sure, and we see a lot of people come in asking what things are worth. I just found this. What's it worth? And we see the flipping side of car audio for people who are just looking to make a buck. Now, there are people that are out there like that. Most of the time, it's the ones I see that come and go. It's
Yeah,
like the next thing that that excites them for a little bit, and then they go do something else. The way I feel now about a lot of the guys who sell the old car audio stuff, I know Brad at Legends of Car Audio has just amassed a massive amount of old school car audio stuff, and people go to his eBay store and say, "Wow, he's asking a lot of money for that." But I don't think what people realize is the time and effort and everything he puts into getting that stuff. I mean, he drives sometime for 18 hours two ways to get a load of car audio equipment, and he buys pallets they have shipped to his house. So you have to think about where else could you go to get this stuff, and a lot of things he buys is brand new, brand new, what they call it, NOS, new old
yeah, new
stock,
old stock.
and you just where else are you going to find it? So I mean, I don't see that what he's doing is any problem. And that's not what I would consider a flipper. A flipper is
Yeah,
somebody who just buys the stuff and then they're not really contributing at all to the to the industry. And
yeah,
it's two different sides of the flipping, but seeing the what's it worth all the time from people that are just coming in thinking, oh, I've got a something fancy. It must be worth a lot of money. It's all beat up and like, no, man, it's not
yeah.
really worth that much.
Well, then sometimes you see people that are undervaluing, what they're wanting to sell. So it's a two-edged sword, and like flipping, like you said, if someone's coming out and finding this old stuff that nobody else would have found, yeah, they're gonna ask a little bit of a profit of it. And me, and I've got a capitalist mindset, anyways. So that's basically how it works. Supply and demand, and the market will dictate the price. So you can ask whatever you want. Is it going to sell at that price? That don't that If it sells at that price, that's what it's worth.
That's
If it
right.
doesn't, then it's not worth that much.
Well, if it sells for that price today, then that's what it's worth today.
Yeah,
But it might have been because there was five people that want it today, and tomorrow there's only one person that wants it. So that's why a lot of times when people ask me, what is this blah blah worth? I'll say, go do an eBay search and find out what they've actually sold for. Not what they list for, what they've sold for. And that'll give you an idea of what it was worth then, but it may be worth more or less now. There's just no way to know. Like you said, you got to put it out there,
yeah.
and then somebody who wants it will let you know what it's worth.
Well, and that's a huge risk too, because what if one day everyone decides like I'm not messing with car audio anymore or old school car audio? Guess what? Like if you've invested this much money in it, you've just ruined yourself on that amount, and that's always a chance you could take. But it could be like the old school BMX market and just always be in demand, and just fluctuate from medium to high and always be within a range.
I think, the guys out there like that guy named Hi-Fi Vega that does videos about old car equipment, that guy Wilson Audio Labs, I think those guys kind of help. Oh, sorry, that's us. Um, we help keep the excitement going, and I enjoy showing off some of the old equipment. Like this week, I just showed off an old Sony amp that somebody sent me, and most people are, what, who cares about that? But to me, just to see it, and maybe it ignites somebody's nostalgia factor from where they remember it from a while back. You know, I don't know. I think it's neat to show the stuff off. But another part of the dark side is the scammers, and we see scammers
Wow.
come in all the time, and they'll list stuff, maybe super cheap, and then they got all these pictures they probably stole from the internet, and then, man, nothing gets to me quite like the scammers.
Yeah, and the scammers are terrible. They're on eBay, they're on the Facebook groups, they're on Offer Me Up, they're on, they're everywhere that you can buy and sell. They're on there scamming, selling, whether it's bad amps, selling amps with misleading pictures. A picture of a new unboxed amp, and you get one that's absolute garbage. It could be anything from here to there.
Yeah, and there's been plenty of stories of people that have had a lot of money sent to, and I know there's one guy here in North Carolina that scammed Brad for several $1,000s, and it's bad that people have to be that way. But what I would say is, make sure that you check up on whoever you're buying from. If you do decide to buy this, it's easy enough on Facebook to ask for some references. Make sure when they send you pictures that they put their name and date on a piece of paper or something. That's why on the old school car audio group or the old school stereo group that I list the sell and buy section, you have to post a picture with your name and the date on there, and that's to keep people from stealing pictures and not having the equipment. We can't guarantee that you still might, get something that doesn't work or whatever, but you can always ask the seller, show me a video of it working. Everybody's got a cell phone. They can
You know,
record a video, upload it for free to YouTube.
and you
But
make a good point because I've been guilty of it myself. I've sold something that I haven't tested, and guess what? Three of the things worked, one of them didn't. So I had to, I'm not going to leave the guy hanging. So I made it right. But you should always, as a seller, as to not be a scammer, test before you sell or test before you trade. Or, as a matter of fact, scamming a lot of it happens on the trade front.
yeah, don't ever assume that just because something worked the last time you tried it, that it works now. Especially when we're talking old school car audio stuff, because it may not work now. And I've had the same thing. In fact, I've had issues with amps where I've sold them and told people they've been recapped and stuff, and then they get them and they're like, "This hasn't been recapped." And I was going on the word of somebody that I bought it from, that said that. I'd never opened it up. So
Yeah,
you have to be careful because I didn't intentionally do that in any means. And like you said, always make things right, but you just
yeah.
have to be careful, protect yourself.
You have to be careful from the scammers and don't become the scammer
That's right. You
incidentally.
don't become no scammers.
Yeah, don't you scam. We're
But
watching you.
but one of the other things about the dark side of this cardio collection is what?
It's hoarding or money,
Yeah,
both of them.
it can be a serious financial impact if you're not careful. You know, the people who have felt this sickness, and I don't know if it's just a natural tendency of humans to try to hoard stuff or if it's part of the hunt and find and want to have as much as you can get stuff. But I've heard a lot of people that have dealt with this, wanting and this eagerness to buy, 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 and like never get the thrill of, oh, I bought enough.
Yeah,
And Rob, you and I both have talked about this. We've both tried to, cut it off and be better about it. But I still see all the time these people, especially the new ones that come in that want to buy their old Rockford or old PPI or whatever. And these guys just go crazy and they'll post want to buys and they'll just buy, 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 buy. And then, a few months later, you'll see all the stuff up for sale.
yeah. Well, it can get you into financial ruin pretty quick, especially if I try to keep. So this is just my personal method. if I buy and sell quite a bit of old school and even new stuff. So I keep my stuff in PayPal. That's separate from the house fund. So now, a lot of times, let me tell you, my wife has dipped into the PayPal fund to buy something else. That's definitely not cool. But it wasn't my wife actually. I just took the money out of there. But it's easy to blame. But I just like to keep it separate. That way, I have my audio money because for me, it's easier to keep track of it that way. And I know how much I'm spending. I know what kind of budget I got, and I'm not dipping into the house funds because you can do that so quickly.
That is that is a perfect example of how to do it, and that's exactly how I do it too. And I don't know that you and I have ever really discussed
No, we
that,
haven't.
I do the same thing. I keep it separate, and like you said, I keep some in PayPal, and that's for hey, I want to test XYZ. I'm gonna go buy it,
Yep.
and that's what I do, and I don't let it go beyond that because at one time I did,
Yeah, me
and
too.
it was tough to break. It was tough to break because man, I was especially when we had our last child, and she'd be up in the middle of the night, and I'd be up in the middle of the night, and so I would get on eBay
Oh,
after I'd finally get her to
you
bed.
snipe somebody.
Oh man, you can get so good prices, like because a lot of times on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. Friday night or Saturday night, people will be posting stuff at 9 or 10 o'clock on the West Coast, and it would be buy it nows, and I get in there, man, I get some of the best deals. But did I really need it? No, but
No.
it was just that desire to have stuff, and I've done
Yeah.
better recently,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's
And
tough to break.
the little bit of money I do get from YouTube and Patreon and Teespring, all that is in my PayPal account. So that's all. I want to buy something to test. I want to buy a new microphone. I want to buy, so everything in YouTube, and I try to keep all that separate just because I know that I can't trust myself if I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got the test equipment, the amp dyno, the MM1, oscilloscopes, all things like that. We have to be able to use our little bit that we make to help buy those things. So you
Yeah.
know we we're not asking for people to help us out here to make a living, which one day would be nice, but we're just trying to have the tools and the equipment and stuff to make better videos for you guys. So
Yeah.
that's what we
So
use that extra for.
that way my audio's not crap anymore.
Yeah, your audio, man, you've jumped up like 15 levels. I've stayed the
Uh,
same, but
well, yours was already good. The little iPhone headphones, they weren't cutting it. So
well, we all progress, and
yeah,
definitely, my your setup for your room looks pretty spiffy there. Mine's not changed, but that'll be
yeah.
something I work on in the future.
Well, this is my room now. So
So one of the other things, Rob, that I put in the list here was competing with friends, and I've seen this happen before in the past, and I literally came to the point where I'm like, I'm not gonna let this stuff come between me and anybody else, and I've backed out of several deals just to the fact that hey, this other person wanted it or they don't have it and I've already got one, or whatever the reason would be. But it's more important to me for the friendship part of it than it is to have the equipment. So I try not to let any of that come between. But I have seen people, you know, have issues because of things like this.
oh yeah, like a lot of time. I'll tell you one specific example. Our buddy Mike Watkins, he was selling something on the OSS sale page, and he asked a really good price. I mean, it was an extremely good deal. Someone snapped it up. Someone jumped in and said, "Hey, I'll pay you double that. Sell it to me." And basically, you just had to say no. I asked this price. I agreed to sell it to somebody for this much, and this is what I'm selling it to him for. And the guy kind of got mad, but you got to be a man of your word if that's what you say you're going to do, and not undercut somebody. And some people will undercut. I've seen it the exact opposite way, where someone has said, "Well, somebody offered me more. Sorry."
That's happened more times than I would like to even say. That there's been a deal made, and then somebody else comes back and said, "I'll pay you $20, $40, $100 more." Yeah, it's
Yeah.
happened a lot, and that's
The dark
yeah,
side, man.
it
The
is the
dark
dark
side.
side. And something I didn't put in the list here, but it just came to my mind. And there are some, I guess, exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, if you have patience and yeah, I mean really just patience, then you can find pretty much anything you're looking for. Because I've thought over the year, oh, I've got to get this because I'll never find one again.
Yeah.
I've got to get this on eBay because I'll never see it again. In almost every case, I've always seen it again and usually in better shape and cheaper. So I would, it's almost like the barn finds for the cars. A lot of people say, oh, there's no more of those left. And then every week or every month, you're always seeing somebody find something really cool in a barn. So
Yeah.
there's still a lot of stuff out there. I would
Yeah.
not
And,
go on that thinking that this is the last. You never find another one.
and that, that's a classic sales tactic right there. And turns out we're doing it to ourselves. So, you know, yeah, don't fall victim to that for sure.
Yeah, so we talked about this a little earlier as well, but Rob and I both have kind of used this, and I know I've used it big time as an example, but for us, an excuse to show it on YouTube could be a reason why, we would buy more stuff. But I still think
Yes.
there is some importance there with showing off some of the old gear because like you said, if I do a search and can't find something that I have here that I like to show everybody, I definitely want to make a video of it. Or if there's, like this Sony 7520, nobody cares about the 7520, but somebody does because I make a video and people shoot me. Oh, I had one of those back in the day. That's pretty cool. So I don't know. That's kind of the dark side and the bright side to me. I don't know which
Yeah.
side it's on. Kind
Well,
of like kind of like Kylo Ren. You can't really decide.
he's definitely a bad guy. I can decide for you. So, I got a perfect example. The 12-inch shootout. People's like, why don't you test this sub and test this sub? It's like, listen, man, I'm buying some. I'm trying to borrow as many of these subs as I can. So that's not always easy. And I'm buying these other subs or making trades for them or doing that. So when you're talking about 8 different subwoofers, uh, that's quite an investment. So that when you ask why I don't have this or why I don't have that, that's mostly why because none of my buddies had it. If my buddies semi local to me had it, it definitely would have been in the shootout. And I've got 12-inch subs everywhere over here. I've got other things for another shootout in here taking up space. So yeah, and it's all stuff that I'm probably not even going to run. I'll probably pass it on once I'm done, but I went ahead and got it anyways.
So you mean we're not going to see the dual 12-inch sub box with the Sony Explode on this side and the ES on that side?
Hey, we could do it. I don't care. Let's put them all 8 of them, different, just like a wall. That'd be
There you
cool.
go.
Except the $1,000 sub, that definitely had to go back.
Yeah. The $1,000 sub had to be packed with extreme care and go back to its home where it can be
So,
safe.
since we're on this subject, what about museums? How many of them? I know you've shown at least one on your channel.
Yeah, there's a guy in Germany, Danny's, is it Danny's something museum? He's got all the, was it Pioneer head units and all kind of stuff. He's got an extensive, I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's a shop or if it's a basement in his house, but I think it's called Danny's Hi-Fi Museum.
Yeah,
And oh my gosh, what a just mecca of car audio head units and stuff he has. I had shown Kyle at one time had a really nice collection of amplifiers, and that's still a video I have up on YouTube. But
yeah,
Kyle actually got rid of all his stuff, so he doesn't have it anymore. And I'd actually thought about before about having a museum and having some stuff set up, but then the more I thought about it, there's a lot of rules and laws for having museums. You have to have restrooms. You have to have a way for wheelchairs and stuff to get in. It's really complicated. Plus the fact that if you're having it at your house, do you really want people to come to your house or your garage or whatever? So that's
Yeah,
kind of what led me astray from doing that. That's why I decided to do it all on YouTube, so I can have a virtual museum, show
right.
people stuff on YouTube. But what about you, or do you know anybody who
Well, I
does
think we
anything like that?
both know somebody that wants to do it, but like you said, it even if you're doing it for personal, just for you and your buddies to look at, that's quite an investment of space, time, effort. I mean, imagine what it takes to set up a board just for some head units and some amps. Now that times that by a whole room full of equipment and trying to acquire the equipment, trying to find a missing display piece. Maybe it's a Phoenix Gold display piece, and you're missing the one little fuse block. So all that can lead you down a very uh, I won't say
Dark
dark
trail.
path. I won't say dark path, but it could lead you, trying to find this and that.
Well, I'll step out on a limb and try not to break it with my heavy self. If I ever reach 1 million YouTube subscribers, I will have an old school museum, and it'll be open to the public.
Oh man, we got to get this video out there.
1 million. That's all it takes.
His dude, the Austin Powers 1 million,
One
one.
million. Yeah. So don't have too
Uh,
far to go. Just a few, like 920,000
yeah,
or something. But
after you get past that first 100,000, it'll just be all butterflies after that.
yeah, yeah,
Easy.
we'll count on that. We'll just be reeling in the cash.
So
So
speaking of the museum, do you think you will use all the pieces you have? And we touched on this earlier.
so going back to my earlier story of going through the magazines and drawing out systems and deciding what you want to use. I think we all, and I'm talking for you, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we all kind of get into this feeling of setting up a system visually and purchasing. I want to use a Power 650. I want to use four 6.5s. I want to use two tweeters. I want to use two 15s. And you start thinking about all the different components you get. But then once you get all the gear, it's like, did I really want to do all that, or do I want to do something different? And I think my problem is I've decided on a lot of. I want to do, four HCCA 225s. I want to do two of these, four of that, something. And you start thinking about a system, and then later you're like, well, I don't really want to do that. So I
Yeah.
have a lot of plans personally about things I want to do, but what actually hits fruition, very little of those plans.
Yeah.
What about you?
What always happens to me is I switch my system out incessantly, man, and I just can't help it because basically, you know, my wife, she doesn't want me fooling with her ride, and I don't blame her really because she wouldn't mind it, but if there's ever any trouble, I'm gonna have to hear about it and fix it or whatever. So I'm always switching out, trying to rotate in, things I wanted to play, and yeah, I'm just that's why I started getting rid of car audio because I had too much and I had plans. Another thing I do is I think, okay, I want to run like I used to. I want to run four 225 HCCAs. Well, if I run those, I'm gonna want these subs. I'm gonna want this. I'm gonna want that. So then then maybe I'll start to acquire some of this stuff. Well, now I can't find another piece. Well, I need another 225, but I can't find one for the price I want. Someone's got one for 350. Now I'm over here paying, basically double what I would want to pay for 225. So it can go down the rabbit hole quickly.
It can very easily, and using a daily driver with your equipment in it, you also have to consider storage and other things that you want to do in your daily driver, and having other people in the car. Having a demo vehicle is something completely separate. So that's kind of why I purchased the separate vehicle that I got, was future vision is, I'd like to have it so I have something cool in there, but I also want to be able to take things in and out and try different equipment. That's kind of one of the goals I had too, is to use it more of a mobile, kind of a sound room type thing. But, you know, that's
Yeah,
a goal. So
kind of
what,
like Dean and Fernando.
yep.
Their little test setup. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And I've always really, hearing people talk about, the expensive amplifiers versus the cheap one, is the wattage. If it's the same wattage, does it sound the same? This whole big to do about how amplifiers sound, Class D, Class AB. I just really want to have a way to be able to say, hey, listen to this,
Yeah,
tell me what you think, and then listen to this. Have a good way to compare for people. Just mainly for my own curiosity, because I
yeah,
haven't had a way to really compare things that way. It's really for me just been wattage.
yeah, yeah. It'd be nice to have some kind of double blind setup
Hmm.
switcher. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So what about the reliability of the old school gear? And before you answer that, I'll say really quick, the Punch 200 that I have right now in my Honda has been in there for 3 years. I think I've had a 500M before the 200, which the Punch 200 is stronger than the 500M. Anybody who's used both may or may not agree with me, but in my setup with 3 ohms, considerably stronger, obviously because it's bridge 2 channel. But that thing's rock solid. I think I had Sean go through it, recap it, and maybe redo the thermal compound and stuff. But it's been rock solid. But what's your experience been with the reliability of the old school gear?
So if you've had it recapped and everything, I would say it's been very good because anything I've had recapped, I've never had issues with, especially stuff that Sean's worked on for me. Now, if I'm running something that hasn't been recapped, I have had issues with it. I've had issues with noise. I've had to clean gains, which that's simple stuff, but it's still a problem that you might not realize when you first got the equipment. And yeah, I've never had any caps explode, so I've had it go into protect though in different amps. So if you're having it recapped and gone through, I'd say you're okay. Outside of that, uh, it's up to chance.
Yeah, it's a pretty good idea if you're planning on using something in your daily vehicle to have it looked at. If you don't know what you're doing, have it sent to somebody who does. And probably 50% of the times you'd be fine to use it without having it checked. But some of this stuff, I mean, it could literally just have dust inside. If you don't take the bottom panel off and blow the dust out, that stuff could heat up and cause problems on the amp, even if the caps and the transistors and everything are okay. So you really need to take a look at it and see if if you think it needs attention. The other thing is a lot of times you can't visually see a problem either. Like Rob said, it may be something that's noise or RCA that's loose that you can't see. But I've had a lot of people over the years tell me I'm not using an old school car audio anymore because it's too much work. And it can be, if you're not willing to invest the time and effort into having things repaired or replaced or worked on, buy something new because you get a
Yeah.
warranty, and you'll have a better experience in most cases that way.
Especially if the old school doesn't mean as much to you as it does to us. You know, get something new if it doesn't matter to you and you just want something, in you want to beat the block with whatever it is, just get something new.
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Oh, because you got to realize those caps that are in there, they got electrolytic fluid in them, and they can dry up, they can leak. If you got a Phoenix Gold, yeah, it's not a matter if it's leaking. It's like how bad is it going to be, and will it start a fire at some point? Unless it's been recapped.
Yeah, that's for sure. They, I always love to hear the stories of the guys who send me an email that found my channel because I tested a whatever MTX 2300 or something that they just found at a pawn shop for 25 bucks. And those guys are like, man, this thing is more powerful than my buddy's, 1500-watt Class D amp. This thing slams. So I always like to hear, those type stories too, where people don't realize, what they have until they actually look it up and say, wow, some of this old school stuff's pretty impressive. Not saying that it all is by any means, but some things can be.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
So
that's about all we had to talk about the negatives and the positives of collecting car audio and is it a sickness? And I think Rob and I both can agree it is definitely a sickness and it's really hard to break through the sickness. I don't know what kind of pill you can take to break that sickness. You just have to kind of mentally
yeah,
break yourself, right?
yeah, or just your wife has to shake you by the shoulders, like, "Hey, quit this! What are you doing? You're wasting all our money, you idiot!"
Uh, there's probably been some lost relationships because of it. So be
Definitely.
careful, guys. Definitely, make sure you pay your house bills and your light bill before you buy your next amp.
So let's get back to the positive. What about our podcast reviews? We how many do we have at this point? Have you checked?
I haven't,
I
but I
haven't.
will. I will check.
Okay,
While I'm checking, I'll go ahead and pull up your beautiful picture that you sent me of our
okay.
buddy Mr. Booth who
Yeah, John
won
Booth,
who
who
won
won
the
at
sub.
won the sub at 50, sent the most epic picture. There it is.
Those who are listening to this podcast, you've got to go watch the YouTube to see the John Booth picture of himself holding up the subwoofer. It is a true 12-year-old girl Instagram picture of him showing his lips and then him
Yeah,
holding up a 12-inch sub beside of him. It's
it
hilarious.
was awesome. We asked for a picture and he paid in spades with this one. It's
That
gold.
is awesome. I love it. Make sure
Plus he
you
uses plus he uses an iPhone, so it gets bonus points for us.
absolutely. And while
So
you're, yeah, I'm going to check real quick. So go ahead and talk about what's coming up next with the numbers. We at 75, we're doing.
yep, at 75, I'm giving away the exact same sub. It was the pair to that one, and then at 100, Derek's giving away an amp. So keep those reviews coming. They really help us out. Like we said before, we don't get paid for this podcast, but we just want to get it out there, get recognized. Did you
Yeah, we
find it?
have. Yeah, I did. We have 58 ratings, 5 stars. Thank you
All
guys
right.
for ratings. So let's get those numbers up so that we can give away some more goodies. And
Yeah.
everybody who's our numbers on YouTube are doing pretty good. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. We have about 952, I think, at last check. So we're getting close to the four figures there on the YouTube channel. So if you're listening to this audio wise on a podcast, if you can check us out on youtube.com/12etalk. Check us out there. We try to always put links in the video description. We don't always do it because some of us are slack and don't go back in and do it, but we will definitely try to. We're going to try to hire
Yeah.
somebody who watches this live to go through and help us out do that because that would be great.
Yeah, that would be excellent. And I lost my train of thought.
It's all right.
But but now, we're just trying to well, the reason we push the Apple reviews so much is because basically we got in this car audio podcast game. We didn't get in here to take part. We got in here to take over. So we want to be the number one car audio podcast. That's the way to do it.
That's
And
right.
and for us, we know YouTube. We start on YouTube, but we like audio podcasts. And if you want to help us out, share it. Share the videos. Ron JL White shares it every week. Do that. Share it on your page if you got car audio peeps. You know, put it out there. Share the audio podcast. Do it all. Leave reviews.
Yeah, every little bit helps. And again, this is not going to have us quitting our day job anytime soon, but we think maybe more people would like to listen to this if they knew about it, or maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe we're just wishing on a star.
yeah, and I
So
think.
go ahead.
I think we've both decided that we're not going to do a Patreon for this because we've got our own Patreon. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to push our own. If you want to support us monetarily outside the things we already mentioned, check us out at patreon.com/hi-fi-vega or patreon.com/old school stereo. Also, we both have Teesprings. If you want to actually get something and help us out, teespring.com/hi-fi-vega. teespring.com/old school car stereo again. Old
Uh,
school stereo.
Old
Old
School
school
Stereo.
stereo. Why did I
Yeah,
say car?
that's all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not trying to become used car salesmen here by telling you everything a way that you can help us, but we do appreciate every little bit because it does help us out.
Yeah.
And with that said, let's move on to what's up in the car audio land. Have you seen any videos this week and anything interesting to you, Mr. Vega?
So I've watched Mark's latest video on the new audio control RTA, the DM RTA, I believe it is. And he kind of goes into the crossovers and the RTA a little bit. That's a cool piece. It's a little expensive for me, but it's always good to see that. And outside of that, I've watched a couple Boston Gym videos. Those aren't car audio related. I also fell down a YouTube rabbit hole of a guy that eats old MREs. So he eats them. He just ate the one I watched today. He ate a MRE from the 80s, like 1984. So the guy, I'm telling you, the guy's got over 1 million subs, over 1 million views on every video I've watched of his. It's very interesting. I don't know if he's playing a character, but the voice inflection and stuff he uses is it's it's over the top. But I don't know. I fell into the rabbit hole and I just started watching them one right after another.
They got you, man.
Yeah, they got me.
I I sometimes pause what my kids watch, and I sit there and go. One of them was a dude that ran over stuff with his tires. I might talk about this last week. Like ran over glue, ran over a ball, ran over like a soda bottle, all that type stuff. He had 8 million subscribers, and that video had like 10 million views. And I'm sitting there going, "What am I doing wrong?" And then another one was the scary stuff. Like they go to a place that's supposed to be haunted,
Oh yeah,
and that's another one that's huge, man. That guy, he had 10 million subscribers, and I'm like, wow, these people are making bank doing this stuff, and obviously they enjoy it. But anyway, we'll get there one day. We don't care about the bank part. We just want to have it as a full time gig maybe one day.
yeah.
So the things I've seen this week, Mead just released the Zapco. It was an AG200, just a 200-watt old school Zapco amp that he did his amp test Tuesday on. That was kind of cool. I did see Mark's video too about the audio control um, DMRTA, which is Rob and I, and it's my fault. I'm sure we missed the MSRP of that when we talked about it before. It's actually 649 or 699. I think it's 649.
Yeah.
Bluetooth module is 150. Right now they've got several sites that have $150 off, but you have to buy the two together. So you're essentially getting the DMRTA and the Bluetooth module for 650. So we said 349 or 399 before, and we were wrong. Sorry about that. It's a little bit more than that. It still does a lot though. Um, yeah, let's see. EXO had an update video about getting rid of his Frankenstein,
Okay,
and
I watched that too. I forgot about that.
yeah, he was talking about the stress of doing videos that people want to see and doing things people want to see versus doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And he's just a real genuine guy. You just feel like just do what you want, man.
Yeah.
Everybody is not going to like it, but do what you want because most
Yeah.
people are going to like it, and that's all that matters.
As long as what you want to do is be on 12E Talk,
That's right. We got to
then
get
do that.
him. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got to
for
get him.
sure.
I might be able to get him in person because he's not too far from me.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be.
Another one that we watched that you shared with me, and it's something I'd watched before a long time ago, was that Car Audio Dynasty. A subscriber had shared it with me a long time ago when they first launched, and I watched first episode. I just totally blank forgot to subscribe, and you shared an episode with me 2 days ago, and I went back and I watched them all. And they've only got like 8 videos, but you guys should check them out. Car Audio Dynasty on YouTube.
Yeah, they had like 700 or something subscribers, and they've been doing it for 6 or 8 months. And I'm thinking, man, these guys should get more love than this because they obviously have either a professional editing place, production studio do their videos, or they have somebody in house that's really good. But because their audio is always really, they've got the lapel mics, you can tell audio is really good. but also just those shots, those little panning, those
Yeah.
really crispy shots that they show of the products. That's not something everybody does. Somebody knows what they're doing. But yeah, check them out. They're really good. And what was that other one that I showed you, Rob? It was another car audio shop.
Soundscapes.
Soundscapes. Yeah, yeah.
I
Check
can't remember the name of
Soundscapes.
the show, but yeah, it's just about the soundscapes.
Yep. Yeah, that's another good one. Well, I'll try to find them and put them in the link of the video description because those are both really good. And they don't have. I think Soundscapes did have a couple thousand subscribers, but they deserve a lot more love than that too. It reminds me, like I was telling Rob, of the older sound man. Back when Doug had the shop and he had all the guys, but they were goofing off a lot more than these guys do. This is more of a really a day in the life of a professional car audio installer. It wasn't a whole lot
Yeah.
of the goofing off, but they do goof off some. But it's good. So check them both out.
So
So,
what you got? What you got coming up then?
so I've got a lot of stuff here, and I'm just trying to plan out when the release schedule is and when the editing schedule is finished. But I teased last week the JL Audio RD1000/1, and isn't it funny that they just released the RD1500/1 this week? I said it never fails, man. I get something
Yeah.
and bam, there's the new one,
Or it's
and
discontinued.
or it's discontinued like the
Yeah.
the Chinese 4 channel
Yeah.
that I found. That's actually a really cool amp. Can't find them anymore. But the RD1000, I'm gonna show that one probably this weekend. I've got a really high powered subwoofer that I want to show off. I've got a Tar Amps, one of their bass series amps, first one in the USA. Actually bought it from their rep, and I think he said the other ones are held up in custom. So I've got the first one of those here. So I want to kind of do a video on that pretty quick, but can't do them all.
Yeah.
Thinking of a $200 sub amp shootout. People like the 3,000 watt Korean shootout, but a lot
Yeah.
of people say I don't have it. It's just a couple $100. I'm thinking about that one. It's going to be a lot of work. And the Rockville K9 subs. I've been really impressed with them so far, but I'll have to do an update video on those. So what have you got going on, Rob?
Okay. So last week I just premiered another video because I didn't have nothing new for my regular channel. I did have a behind the scenes video for my Patreon exclusive for the month. So, if you want to do that, you can check. I've already got 3 videos up there. What I got coming up is, and I've already teased this on the premiere, so it's a one aught shootout. So I think I've got 9 different types of one aught uh, cable. So I'm gonna go pretty in depth, and I wanted to make it one video. I've got all the videos shot, but it can't be one video. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to put an hour-long video out. So I'm going to separate it. I'm going to try to keep it to 3 parts, but I'm not gonna stretch it out as long as the 12-inch shootout because I've already got all the videos shot. So I'll try to week to week to week or every other week. I'll try to put them out.
So is one of the tests for the zero gauge how well it works as a jump rope?
No, I didn't. I didn't order enough to do that.
Oh, I was
But
gonna say that would be
actually, I
great,
do
man.
got.
You could do that as like your intro. I'm checking out zero
Yeah.
gauge. See which is the best.
Let's just say like there's fire involved. At some point, there was a lot of
See,
fire. So
fire's good too.
yeah,
That brings excitement. Everybody wants me to always blow up an amp, so burn up some
yeah.
OFC cable too. That's cool. Alrighty, well we have reached the end of the episode here, episode 25 of 12 Volt Talk. Again, make sure you check us out on youtube.com/12vtalk. If you have any show ideas or have anybody that you think would be really cool to be on the show, you can send it to us 12vtalk@gmail.com. And like Rob said before, if you know somebody that you want to be on, hit them up and say, hey, you guys need to be on there. And that kind of
Yeah.
helps us because we approach a lot of people, but some people are just not comfortable with being live on, which I understand, and other people are just too busy, and I understand that too. So
Well, and it would help for them to see like, hey, these guys do got a following. I've had 10 people on my video that just this week comment, hey, you should be on 12V Talk. So you guys are, You guys are our core people that are always in there. Just get out there. You can be our evangelist.
The 12V Talk Army.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah. And on a side note, if you purchase any of our gear, old school stereo or Hi-Fi Vega, send us some pictures, man. We'll show it on here.
There you go. That's a great idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
do it in wherever, in front of your little shop or
Yeah.
anything like that. We'll give you some props.
Yeah.
All right, we have gone extremely long, Rob.
All
Uh,
right.
Almost an hour and a half with this one. So hopefully we didn't bore everybody to death with our talk about old school collecting. So thanks as always for listening or watching. We will see you next week.
Ready?
The longest ever.
I could have went longer. I could have went
Oh,
longer
Barry
for sure.
White Jr. here. The world was that all
Oh
about?
man.
Alrighty. What questions have we got or comments
Let's see. Let's see.
about you people and your hoarding, collecting?
Let's see. Cartman.
Clickbait. Slap a picture of a halfway attractive girl in the thumbnail, instant views.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen before, and it does work.
Yeah, it does.
Can you guys start testing subs? Would love to have guys verify subs too.
What's it say? Oh, hey, didn't I just tell y'all I done a 12-inch shootout? Man,
Yep.
I should already been known that.
Check out High Five Vega. He's done some 12-inch subs.
Oh, OG Airbender just subscribed. Thanks, bro.
Have we had enough new school Class D amps around long enough to have a good comparison to old gear? I think so.
Yeah. Oh, Ryan said, D, stop infringing on my $200 sub amps.
Oh yeah.
Oh
You
man.
can't have all the love, Brian. The budget amps are what everybody wants to see, man.
Yeah.
they don't want to see my, $700 JL HD whatever.
So then Mark calls me out for my I stole Ryan's hands only technique for that crimp video that I premiered. The one it definitely, like the way I had the lighting in my test bench or anything. I was like, yeah, this looks exactly like a Ryan video.
Well, speaking of Ryan, he's going to be a guest on here in the future, and how is he going to do that? Is he going to do it at his bench and not face the screen, or are we actually going to see him? We don't know yet.
Yeah,
He's not.
it's a
He's not told
mystery.
us. It's a mystery. It might be like you guys watch Chris Fix. You know who he is? He's the guy
Yeah,
that does all the car videos. He never shows his face, but I think there's a couple of videos
yeah.
where he's in a reflection. I think the one where he gave his mom the Thunderbird. You could see him in the reflection, but he was just in him and Saab Kyle '04, guy that's here in North Carolina, have done a couple collabs. Well, one of the last ones, he Kyle posted on Instagram, and he had Chris there standing with him, and Chris had on his motorcycle helmet with the cover over, so you couldn't see his face.
Oh, so
So
he was
he's
like,
true. Yeah, he's truly not showing his face off, and he's got what 5 or 6 million subscribers
yeah.
or something. He's huge.
He's the Stig. He's YouTube
Yeah,
Stig.
that's right. Yes, Ryan is going to be a guest. Let's see.
Oh, American Soundscape was the show that we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
Rick pointed that out.
Audio Pipe is starting to make a name for themselves on the West Coast, California. Yeah, I mean, Audio Pipe's made good budget stuff here for a while.
Yeah.
Somebody just sent me a message not long ago and said, when am I going to test the 5 or 6K they just came out with? I haven't seen anything about it. I don't know if it was a CES announcement or whatever, but
What was the 3Ks? Two of their amps strapped, right?
Yeah, but they've got the APMKs. Those are the ones that Bass Cop uses.
Yep.
They've got a 4K right now, so I think they might have released bigger versions of that.
And you guys save your audio pipe questions because we're gonna have Bass Cop on. He's sponsored by him. He was there with CES with them, so he can probably answer a lot of these questions for us. What else we got here?
Can you do the Rockville RXD M5 1D? No one has done RXD M5. Ryan, which one did you do? You did the 2 ohm version of the 1500 watt one. What is the M5? I don't know what that is. That might have been the ones they discontinued. I can't remember.
Yeah.
They keep changing the models.
When we were talking about,
It's a DB16, I think, is the one Ron did. That's their big monoblock. I don't think I think they got rid of the other models, unless I'm thinking of that incorrectly.
on the Rockville.
Yeah, the what was it called? I can't remember. I tested one a while back and I sent it back. I can't remember. Anyway, sorry. Not available right up Big D's alley. Yeah, I don't do that on purpose. I really hate that y'all couldn't get your hands on that little cheap Chinese amp that I tested. That thing was pretty cool. I told Rob, so man, this thing's pretty amazing, and it got as low as $39 before they stopped
Discontinued
selling
it.
them. Yeah, I think somebody said it was like a Cadence amp or something, and they were knocking it off. I'm like, it probably came off the same assembly line as the
Yeah,
Cadence. They just didn't put
exactly.
the Cadence emblem on it. Dino the Colossus. I love old school Hyphonics.
It was that wasn't a single layer board, was it? The Colossus.
So depends
I
on
know.
which model it was. Some of the Colossus were actually two separate Zeus boards, and some of
Yeah.
them were a single board. The one that I have is two separate boards, and it's not. It was never designed for mono, I don't think, because when I tried to hook it up and asked Sean about it, he said that it was not. The grounds weren't done properly on the board for it to be wired in mono. So mine's the stereo version, which
Hmm.
it must be an old version of that because I thought they were all bridgeable back then. But I tried when I first got it back from him, I tried to hook it up to the dyno. It kept throwing sparks at the speaker terminals. I'm like, dude, why is it sparking? He's like, what are you doing? I said, I was wiring it in mono. He said, you can't do that. I was, oh, whoops.
You trying to break it right when you got it.
Yeah, so I quit that pretty quickly. Yeah, Mark, the RD1000 is most likely the next video. And yes, they did announce the RD1500, and that looks pretty impressive. I'll say this right off the bat: JL Audio, um, they don't they don't cheat on their numbers. We'll just put it that way. You get what you pay for, and some. I didn't see any other questions about the hoarding or anybody else who is watching right now. Have you have you got like that bug and you can't get rid of it and you have to buy stuff all the time, car audio stuff? Ooh, somebody just bought a JLRD 1500/1 today.
Wow.
There you
Balling.
go.
Those ain't cheap.
You overpay for what you pay for. Of course, Budget Jim or Budget Bus is going to say that. But what
Didn't he
is he?
buy a Rockford Fosgate for his boat?
He does. He buys good stuff too. He's just giving us a
Don't let
hard
him fool you.
time. You don't let
He,
him fool you.
yeah. When's he gonna be on next week?
Yes. Right,
Yeah.
Ryan? Next week. Yes. next week. Yeah, OG Airbender says got the addiction. When I see a deal I can't pass, even if I don't need it. Yeah,
If you got the money, I guess.
it's it's tough to break. That's all I gotta say. Never pass a deal, and I would have to agree with that. If I find something that I know is a deal that I can resell it, but my problem is I'll buy it and I'll say, well, I'll try it for a little while and I'll put it somewhere and then I'll
Yeah.
forget and never sell it. I told my wife, I said, if something ever happens to me, make sure you contact Rob or Sean or Jason or somebody so that somebody accurately sells the stuff because she has somebody come in, you'll probably get a
Yeah.
really good deal. Don't take that as any hit ideas on me.
Yeah. I'm just coming after all your camera equipment, your extra camera equipment.
You need a Canon 7D, Rob?
I'll take them all the D's,
Oh,
Canon D's, that is.
yeah, Canon ND. Now, I don't want to get rid of
Mm.
the lenses, but yeah, the camera itself, I don't
I,
really use that thing.
I want the M50, man.
Oh, yeah.
It looks pretty nice. Let's see. Rick's been bitten by the LP bug.
Oh, boy.
That's
That's an
expensive.
expensive bug.
Hmm.
Big D, are you guys gonna come to California? I trying to think. I had planned on going out there and going to see Steve and Soundman and a couple other things while I was out there, but that never came to fruition because we do two of the old school meets per year, and with a family vacation and with the other stuff, I don't know. I would love to go out there
Yeah,
sometime.
it'd be fun. I mean, we need to go to SEMA or CES. We need to do that one time.
I've been to CES. I could not go back ever and be happy. That reminds me, always something that tips off something in my skull. Uh, we were watching one of the top 5 videos that are on YouTube. That's another thing that's huge. This guy's called Top 5 List or something, and he's got multiple million subscribers. But anyway, it was the top 5 um, roller coasters that had been closed
Yeah.
or something. And so one of them was on top of the Stratosphere Hotel. Guess what roller coaster Big D rode when he went to Las Vegas in 2001 for the CES? Yeah, I rode that one. They were on the outside edge of the top of the
Yeah.
hotel, and they were talking about how dangerous it was, and they shut it down. I was like,
They
whoa.
didn't have it when we went. Now I'm gonna tell you right up front, man. I just chickened out all the way. My wife got on there and they rode the one that hangs out over the edge of it now.
Yeah,
She rode that. I went up the elevator. Just you go one elevator goes up 100 floors real quick. You get on the platform. Well, I went up to the next elevator and got up there, and I could just feel that building shaking. I was like, no, no, I'm not doing this.
alrighty. 14 amps and not one in any of my cars at the moment. Yep, know what that's all about.
Yeah,
Sprayway Customs. Haven't checked that one out, Dave. We'll have to check that one. Old school meet in St. Louis. We'll look into it.
Ryan, you just got to drive to Texas, man. Make the pilgrimage.
Man, it's going to be hard for the North Carolina meet to beat the Texas one just because of the location. Man, it is like the perfect farm
Yeah,
area with a nice um, covered up shed. I say shed. It's a place designed for parties pretty much,
yeah.
and it's got a big pond for fishing and just plenty of room to park. And yeah, I got to find somewhere like that around here to do our spring meet. Big D, I'm in Greenville. So yeah, I'm not too far from you. I'm not far from Raleigh.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
looking at flights for the spring meet this weekend, so I'm kind of pumped, ready for that to. Hopefully, it's after I get my vacation days, so I can hang out a little longer.
yeah, we'll have to work that out soon. So yeah, we'll try to do. Like we said before, it's always been we don't want to, or I don't want to make it too big because I don't want people there who really aren't enthusiasts. I'm
Yeah,
afraid sometimes you advertise things and make it too big, you get a lot of, you know, the ones that really don't want to be there just kind of are there. So
yeah.
that's why they're usually smaller, and that's how I like it because we always have a really good time.
Oh yeah. The North Carolina meets they're fun though. I had fun last time we come.
Mm-hmm.
So and plus you got a pretty big base of people up there in that area as well.
Base of people. It's pretty good,
Yeah.
Rob. I almost died in Disney's Tower of Terror. Man, we did Tower of Terror like 3 times the last time I went to Disney. How did you almost die? I chickened out the Dumbo ride at Disney. Way too intense. You ain't right, boy. OSS meeting, Gary, Indiana. All right, so I made a million subscriber um, wish come true before. If we get a million, I'm gonna do a old school museum open to the public. If I get 10 million, I will do a meet in California, Texas, St. Louis, and I'll pick 2 other cities in the United States. Come on, we're almost
I'll
there.
go find like 9,900,000
Don't you
and
be
some
buying those
people.
subscribers, man. You get me shut down. No,
Oh
I thought
man.
that would be actually pretty cool to do like a travel thing, like drive across the country and stop at all the stereo shops and get some stories and
Yeah.
hang out with people. But I got kids and I got way too much responsibility right now to do that. Maybe when I retire, if everything is still around,
It'll be
I think it will be. We'll keep it going. We'll
we'll
keep
be
it
talking
afloat.
to we'll be talking about those old school Rockville amps.
That's right.
You remember those
Rob, you
20?
remember those old Rockville amps that came out? Yep, they were pretty good and cheap.
Yeah.
Now they're 10 cents. Used to be
Yeah.
$150.
St. Louis meet in 2097.
Yeah,
Oh man.
Ron's probably checked Social Blade. It'll definitely be a while before we get to 10 million, but
Yeah.
you never know. It could have the Scotty Kilmer effect. Could just blow
Yeah.
up and go from 40,000 to 2 million in no time. Probably not. He does a video every day. I'm not doing that.
Hey, we need to get him on here.
Oh, it would be great.
That would be.
His oh, speaking of that, if y'all haven't seen his last video, I know Ryan doesn't like the way he talks about part of the auto industry and doesn't talk about the other side, but his video where he says he's sold out or has Scotty sold out, that is a great video that I so much believe in what he said. It's impossible to not. Well, you just have to watch it. So, in essence, what he does is he talks about what the way a lot of YouTubers do it, and unfortunately, it's true that not all of them, but a lot of them, when they do things, they're sponsored. So, for example, if I was sponsored by Rockville, we've already talked about Rockville before, and they paid me $2,500, whatever the number is, to do a video, then I'm not going to say anything bad about them, right?
Yeah.
So I don't personally do stuff like that. And my theory is if a manufacturer sends me something, that's fine. But there's no expectation. I may not do a video. I may. Um, there's just no expectation because I'm not doing it for their benefit. I'm doing it for the viewer's benefit. And so if you watch Scotty's video, he talks about the same thing. And he said the sponsorship stuff, it ties you, to the company, and you have to say good stuff. And he said, I feel much more comfortable telling people what I think. And you may agree or disagree with him, but I like that. I like not being attached to any company, and that's why I haven't taken personal sponsorships on my channel. For even though people think I was sponsored by Orion, I'm not sponsored by Orion. Never have been. But I like to keep it independent. That's what I believe in. Now, granted, I can make a lot more money doing it the other way, but
Yeah.
I want to stay independent. I think it's more important.
Yep.
So watch his video where he talks about it. He goes through about 5 minutes of really good explanations of why he doesn't do it and why he thinks that you have to be careful with what you watch and who, what kind of things are recommended. And you see it all the time too on the forums. So you go to Facebook and say, oh, I'm looking for a 1500 watt amp. What should I get? You got the Wolfram Army, you've got the Audio Pipe Army, you've got the Orion Army, you've got all these people that are dealers. They're hitting them up with what they sell. Of course,
Yeah.
it's not an unbiased opinion. It's this is what I sell. This is what you need to buy. So
Yep. And that's the same reason why, I could have included the Savar 12s in the 12-inch shootout. But, people already know how I feel about them subs. So I thought it was unfair to throw those in there, so got to keep them separated, like Offspring
I
said.
don't think, yeah, I don't think that's. I understand though, because you did kind of get a little discount, but that's
Yeah.
not the same as getting them for free.
Yeah.
You got them at like dealer cost pretty much, and to me
Yeah.
that's not selling out. If people sell me stuff at dealer price, then I'm still buying it. I'm not getting it for free. But even if I do get it for free, if they send it to me, I'm not I'm not giving you anything in return other than I'll check it out, and if I like it, I may make a video. If it does good, I may. If it does bad, I'm probably not because I'm not gonna intentionally put things down. Now, if I buy something from Amazon that does bad, I'm gonna you doggone right I'm making a video because I want people to know about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for those who are out there who are wanting things tested,
Yeah.
send it to me. Maybe I'll send it to Rob. Maybe he can do it sometime. I don't know.
You would be surprised, even as small scale I am, how much I get someone, oh, you should test this, this, and this. Like, well, I'd love to test that, but I don't have it.
Yeah,
So, it's like the one I just tested the Moscone AS 100.4. Like, you should do the zero series. And like, oh, I'd love to, but those amps are like $2,000.
yeah, I agree, Ryan. Scotty doesn't know everything about the industry, and I feel like sometimes he's pretty harsh and pretty generic on some of the recommendations he makes.
Well, we know
Um,
he likes Toyota.
he likes Toyotas, he likes Hondas. I like Toyotas and I like Hondas, so he's
Yeah.
got to be a good guy. That's pretty much all it comes down to.
He doesn't like all Hondas though.
He
He will
doesn't.
he will talk trash on Honda.
He doesn't like some of their automatic transmissions, and he's not wrong with
Yeah.
that. The Boss Army is pretty silent. Be sponsored by Cheetos. Now, see, I did think about like excess power or something like that to help me build up the lab. I wouldn't mind because I don't like talk about different batteries and test them. That's just supplementing. But
Yeah.
I bought all my excess power stuff. I wasn't giving any of that.
But we would take sponsors on this show
Yeah,
for sure.
not amps.
Yeah. Yeah, don't send us amps.
Or send them to me just without any
Yeah.
expectation of anything ever happening other than I play with them. All right, gentlemen. I think we are good. Thanks everybody for joining us live. And yeah, I have a guest next week.
Yeah.
man, the myth, the legend, never shows his face.
Yeah. We'll
We
see
got
if maybe we'll see
we
his
gotta
face.
prep. Yeah, we gotta prep him.
Yeah.
Prep him with the what he should expect because he already agreed to do it. And we didn't tell him what he should expect. I'm sure he's seen our other interviews and knows that we're not trying to bash anybody
Yeah. Yet.
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 We want to know his secret of how he grew to 12,000 subscribers in like 8 months. We're
Yeah.
jealous, budget jam or budget bust. You rock.
He spent like $20,000 on amps and tested all the amps everyone wanted to see. Secret revealed.
Well, there is a secret, to doing searches on YouTube. We talked about this before, but if you start typing like Rockford Fosgate, whatever it puts after that is the most searched thing. So if you do Rockford Fosgate Dyno and you see yourself way up at the top, then you might get on there.
Yeah.
But that used to be a trick about how obviously when it was Super Bowl coming up, people try to make videos. So when you search for Super Bowl, you'll find their videos. They'll do crazy things, but
Yeah. I haven't delved into that world yet.
yeah, we're
I
just
haven't dipped into the world of clickbait
yeah.
yet.
You should.
Yet.
It's a good place to be.
Well, I guess you've drug me into that world with this last couple of headlines.
I like them. Is car audio dead? Well, I'm about dead.
Yeah, me too.
So let's sign out. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. We are gonna sayonara, suckers.
Later.
Later, dudes.